Okay. Just to give you somewhat of an overview, if we can't pull it up on the screen, one of the things that we do quarterly is we go in and review not only our district plan, but each campus reviews their plan. So when we set those plans into September 1st of October, that document is forever growing. And so it can be changed at any point in time. So what the quarterly review is set about doing is to see where we are in the whole progress of things. Due to the nature of COVID, typically the review would have been done in November, but with a little 3-week hiatus kind of push it to the first part of December. And for all practical purposes, we are making great gains as far as our plans and our goals for the district, not only the district plan, but each of the campuses. If you took a look at the district plan, some of the initial goals and strategies have to do strategically with some of the Lone Star government and board goals as far as student performance. And so there's some COVID factors to be mixed in there as well with some of the measures that we do at this point. One of the things that we're truly looking forward to is when we come back in January, and end of January, 1st February, we get our middle of the year map testing. And so we got some great initial data, and to truly see where we're progressing students in that regards will come with our middle of the year test. Later on in the plan, you will see that there are some goals that don't have any progress. And the goal in itself is designed so that's more of an end of the year measure, such as teacher retention and those sorts of things. So we have those goals in place, but there's not truly any way to measure that in that quarterly report. We will do that when we do a summative review of it. Any thoughts, questions, concerns as far as the BIP or CIP? Yes. We have seen some very good progress moving forward. Granted, in regards to some of the math areas, we would like to see some And so if you look at goal number 1, student learning in progress, you'll notice that those are on each of our plans because that's our number 1 priority. And then it talks about English 1 and English 2 EOCs, and then it lists some of the strategies. Well, at this point in the year, based on what has transpired up to this point, you don't see a great deal of progress, 5%, 10%. Okay, we're still moving towards that goal because we are going to be taking STAR this year, and that will be the measure going forward. But where we are in particular to specific time frames in December, that's when we move. Down just a little bit. Okay, in that 4th strategy, district and campus professional development, you'll notice that there's quite a bit of gains because that's one of the things that we can hang our hat on in the fact that beginning of the year and some of the dates that we've been off, Dr. Morgan has done a fabulous job of providing professional development meetings and those sorts of things, and that too will take place this coming Friday. When the kids are out, Friday's a PD day. So a portion of our day will be providing professional development in key areas that we've identified that teacher needs support. So we made considerable advancement there. Let's see. Academic interventions. On the next strategy, you'll notice 80%. They made great strides at the high school in that specific strategy. So you'll see that it's November, January, March, and June. When we get back to school in January, towards the January 1st, February, we'll come back and revisit this to make sure that we're still continuing that upward trajectory to get to that end goal by the end of the school year. I'm going to scroll down a little more. Ms. Liz. Scroll down. And you'll notice this throughout all of the plans. Some we've made great strides, some we've made just little baby steps, but we're still continuing to progress forward. Now you'll notice that, I'm sorry, you'll notice that I'm going to have to talk to Woodward because how we can be 100%, 55% in November and 100% in January when we have it out there. But that's just a little click of the mouse. Support, continued implementation of AVID, and you'll see how we scored as a district in looking at results. And we can go through pages and pages, and that's one of 26. But you'll just notice, if you look at those individual plans, each one of them is scored based specifically on where we believe we are at this time. And we made a couple of little tweaks and adjustments, things that we said we were going to do, didn't quite work out. We tried something different, so those adjustments have been included in there as well. We go through every single one of them, all 4 plans if you like. No, I'm good. Okay. It is good to see. Right. And so, one of the things that we talked about as a district committee is our annual review is slated for the end of January. Depending on when the conclusion of our next round of MAP, we may push that into like the second week of February, so we can really pull that data in and see where we're at compared to the very initial test. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go to item number 10, the agenda. DNA approved previous month's board minutes, and B approved Eunice ISD secretary to the board, administrative assistant to the superintendent, and other designees who received candidate application for place on May 1, 2021. General election ballot at the district's regular place of business. 10C approved resolution of Venus Independent School District Board of Trustees regarding wage payments during emergency school closing pursuant to DEA local. 10D approved resolution of the board regarding extended sick leave during epidemic. 10E approved resolution of the board regarding extension of leave for employee quarantine. And is there any changes need to be made on 10A? Is there any of these that someone would like to take off and put on the agenda for discussion? Okay. We have a motion by Greg.
I'll second that.
Second by Chad. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Please go on that.
Katie can close because we cannot do it.
Do something else?
She typed into the.
I think she typed in something.
Aye. In favor. Okay, so, and if I, is it Hampton? We've already voted correct.
Okay, and if we've already voted, yes, Katie can, now, if there's any part of this meeting and, in our policy, we did look this up just to make sure. If she uses communication on any part of this meeting, whatever she doesn't hear, she cannot vote on that particular thing. So in other words, we lose communication on number 10, like this one right here, if she didn't hear the discussion, and she can't vote on it either. So otherwise, she is considered in attendance as long as she is receiving the transmission, and we're receiving communication from her.
So that vote right there is the what vote?
That was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0 vote.
I don't know.
Yes,
So,
sir.
okay. It's because she responded, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't just want much. Yeah.
And that is according to policy. And what even it was
I know, it's illegal.
illegal.
Let's move to item 11, consider approval of purchase of flat fleet.
Excuse me. Yes, the white fleet vehicle, this is actually in the budget. And the reason for the purchase at this point is because we need a vehicle to be able to actually pull trailers and things when we go out of town. And we simply have a vehicle that's aging out. And so we thought it would probably happen sometime this year, so it is in the budget.
How many fleet vehicles do we have?
How many of these do we have? 4, is it now? Four.
Blue, white, and gray, and
4, and then instead, and 6 total.
that's not counting.
6 with food service and
Special ed and food service maintenance. Yes, sir.
All the trailers though, are they all being used at the same time?
No, and not all of them can pull a trailer, by the way. So the sped vehicle and the food service vehicle will be pulled.
Or the other forces?
That's what they're mentioning.
We recommend.
We do. It's in your packet. We have, excuse me. We've got, I believe she's got about 3 different quotes on this. There's a Bruce Lowry. And we have Caldwell Country. James Wood, Classic, Chevrolet, Moritz, let's see, that's part of the Moritz. We've got several different ones. We've got Lipscomb, 46.6. I think that's about her lowest one, isn't it?
No.
And the 46.9 from Robert Cockrum.
So, if they haven't found the exact one, it's still a range.
Are they recommending blue flowers?
No, she wants a dollar amount. She wants just a not to exceed dollar amount. Not to exceed dollar amount.
Oh, not to.
Right, she said they haven't found the exact one yet, just wanted to show a range of how much they're costing.
We're looking at 45 to 48.
45 to 48.
Would this one total a specific store or is it or whatever store? Whatever.
Or whatever, practically.
example, the other night at the game, you had that box trailer hooked up to a Suburban, in particular, that needs to be phased out in that regards. And so it's for all types of action, not just sports. It could be one-act play. It could be anything in regards to where we need to haul equipment to another location.
Is that the one we're replacing?
That's the one that will be phased out for the vendors.
Right.
You need to go drive it.
No, but, I mean, been around for a while.
Yes.
And my usual question is, budget for this?
What's your vote?
So you heard me.
Let's
They
change
did.
it here.
Oh, gotcha. So is this budgeted for? It's, like I said, is that my usual question? It's a budget item or a new item?
No, it's a budgeted item,
Oh, it's in the budget already.
your budget.
And if it's in the budget and it's less than 25,000, why are we even?
It's more than 25, between 45 and 48,000.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Otherwise, we wouldn't bother you with it.
I was just wondering. Okay. And so years on,
In the budget, what did you figure anyhow? More than what we're at.
In the budget. Kathy, do you remember how much we had in the budget for it?
I would expect typically to be something like 50.
Okay. She's got 50 in the budget.
We've been using the vehicles a lot with the COVID stuff and all that. I mean, we haven't been traveling a lot, have we?
Certainly not as much as we were.
The problem is that the Yukon that pulls the trailer, it's a 2008 and it's getting older, so it will still be used for around in close vicinity, but it is time to retire it for pulling a trailer, and we will always be pulling a trailer for some kind of function. So this is a vehicle that I feel that we really kind of need to make sure that we're safe on the roads.
So we only have one that pulls a trailer. For what she just said, right?
No, I actually have the one the superintendent drives that can pull the trailer, and actually I try all of them to pull a small trailer, but when you put a load to it, I don't have everything that has that type of capability to it, because this one will be trailer ready.
And one of the things that you have to look at in that regards is your vehicles come with a trailer package, and all that simply means is it has heavier suspension, it's more load bearing, and those sorts of things. For example, Mr. Hopper and I got to pull the football box back from Mineral Wells, that Yukon that we talked about rolled over just fine, and then they had some mechanical issues, and we said leave it, and Kathy and them had to go back over and pick it up. We turned around in his vehicle, switched and hooked it up so they could get their equipment back from Mineral Wells.
Is that the only one with the tow package?
No, I mean, the one that Mr. Hopper typically drives has a tow package for back in. The rest of them don't have a suspension for it. That gray one that they use in sometimes.
I know the white one.
The gray one and the white one is getting a lot of miles on it, and they're both wearing out as far as it's going to cost more to keep the upkeep on them if we keep trying to pull a trailer with it. But the white truck pulls the van trailer. Then there's one more that will pull, but like I said, it'll be used for that, but that's not the only purpose it's going to have.
Okay, can I ask, are these prices all within the budgeted amount?
Yes, I won't go over the budget amount.
Okay, well, just for the sake of conversation, we've already approved this in the budget. I know that you're not gonna ask us for something you don't need, in fact, sometimes you'll ask us for stuff you do need. So I'll make a motion that we approve up to,
Let's do 50,000.
okay, 50,000 on the purchase of this vehicle.
We have a motion by Greg,
I'll say that.
second by Chad. All in favor?
In favor.
All in favor, motion passes. Can I suggest something?
Yes, sir.
Every time we buy one of these, can we make sure it has a tow package? That way we can switch them in and out.
It's a great idea.
And it's not that much more just to get a tow package. Okay, go to item 12, consider approval of cost to install underpinning, ramps, and landings for 6 portable buildings, including materials.
Okay. Liz, do they have this at their spots?
Of the updated.
Yes, ma'am. Here it is. Okay, so our first, estimate, our first actually, price on this, was from, the guys who are actually moving in our portables from Snow, and it was, 32,500, and I don't think we saw that recently, but, so anyway, the question is, as we get ready to do this, now, I will tell you this, the 32,500, that's due the underpinning, the ramps, for all the buildings. It does not include any flat work. You know, we got to pour a little bit of concrete over the elementary, and I think maybe a little bit at the high school. But beyond that, as far as the ramps and underpinning and everything, we got a price for 32,500. Now that is to use treated wood in order to do this. And so the question was brought up: should we perhaps upgrade to another material? Because you know we clearly don't want these portables being there forever. However, we also do not want wood to, you know, after a while it does start to kind of bow and curls up and can actually be a health hazard, a safety hazard, I should say. So if you, I don't know if you guys have had, some of you have had opportunity to walk on the ramp over at the transportation building and food service. And so what we did on the planks on top, on the surface, that's actually a wood composite with a lot of synthetics in it. And so it looks really sharp. It lasts a lot longer. I do not know what the warranty time is on that, but you know, for those of you that have had experience with that, it does last longer, and it does not have the curling effect that the wood planks do. So what Ronnie did, I asked Ronnie to get some more prices on that, as well as looking at aluminum to balance all this out so that we have a better picture. I will tell you that first page that you're looking at, those are for materials only. Those are materials only. So Ronnie went out and looking at our prices to go and buy the lumber. That's about $29,000 if we use treated wood. You know, that's not a contractor price. That's just would be our price. Then you go down to the bottom here, and this is to use composite on the planks that you actually walk on. And so, you know, the cost difference there is marginal. Actually, it's about $5,000 difference. And again, these are some estimates, but you can kind of get an idea for the cost differential. If you look at the third page, this is actually an estimate that was given to us, or a price for the job that was given to us by a vendor that would actually come in and do the aluminum walkways, the ramps and the decks. And so this is 46.7. So this is to do all of that in aluminum as opposed to doing it in either composite or the treated lumber. So, the discussion was, well, should we upgrade from the treated lumber? What we're here tonight to do is simply to consider approval of the cost to install the underpinning ramps, landings for 6 portable buildings, including the materials. So that's what this is.
I have a question. On the aluminum, on the first two, which is composite or treated wood, does that price also include underpinning?
I believe those are just the ramps.
Just correct.
Yes.
Okay. You over and look at ramp over here. Needs painting again. Or with regular wood, and there's a lot of make. Or if you go with either composite or aluminum, you won't have that maintenance. You won't have to paint and stain every year.
All three of these quotes, I'm assuming, are with no underpinning, right?
Yes, sir.
And if you go with aluminum, that cuts your maintenance down. Just maybe portion it off there once in a while. And it will last forever. And we'll probably need those buildings for 10 years. And if you go to get rid of those buildings, you need so I'm suggesting that when it comes time to get rid of them, we move them over to a place and just go on. Keep them in case we need them again. So I suggest that we go with aluminum metal. It should be more.
And if that's the case, then what we would do is this price here is 46.7, and again, just to round that off to say 50,000, not to exceed. And then we would also, as you said, need to secure that price for underpinning.
Is that the price for aluminum or the price for installing?
That's installed.
Installed, but these other two weren't installed.
That's what I'm having a hard time with that.
Well, yeah, because it seems to me almost logical for extra.
Because I'm like, well, what's the labor gonna be?
Yeah, that's what I'm, exactly. I mean, that's why, I feel like I'm looking at
What we
different quotes.
What we tried to do and couldn't get it in time for this board meeting, and we may well have it. Ronnie actually thought we'd have it before the meeting tonight, was the cost to install with the composite, with labor and everything. We don't have that at this point. So all you have here too, and when I say the price, as far as the materials are concerned, that's our cost. So sort of an incomplete thing, because frankly we were looking at that as just being a package deal of 32.5 and getting the underpinning done, ramps done, all made out of wood.
Well, I know what Les, how he feels. But I can tell you, I've been around here a long time, and I've actually watched UPS guys walk through some of my ramps. Like, step through them. Those are all liabilities. Fortunately, he went too bad hurt. He didn't always do it, but I can't tell you how long that wood ramp was there. And that I can't tell you. And that's the buzz part.
Well,
But wood does start rotting, and sometimes it rots faster than you think it is.
right. Well, there's no doubt that the upgrade would
I
be.
just don't know how long it takes.
There's no doubt that the upgrade would be to the composite, and most significant upgrade would be to the aluminum. There's no doubt about it.
Or aluminum, but if we decide to go with other product, I wouldn't do it.
It's a superior product, and that's definitely the best in the world. It's hard for me to really compare, with the labor on the one with the,
Well, these aluminum, that's installed, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, and
So
that,
it can't be,
there can't be that big a.
It will be between
that much
32
higher
and
to go with
46.
aluminum.
And this one.
Well, right now,
You got here with Ron, that's them doing it. Right?
That's correct.
And I have a concern with that too, because it's a lot of work for just our guys. Sign them up.
No, I think the best option for us to do is to keep our guys freed up because, over the Christmas break, there's plenty of work that they can do, that they need to be actively involved in. This will require them all.
And that was one of my big concerns. Obviously, I'm gonna try to save money, but also recognize the fact that we've got this crew of individuals that have a laundry list of things that are to do. And I dedicated a bunch of time, we're having work out of building multiple sites and processes.
And so this quote here is just for the aluminum.
That is the aluminum ramps and that is installed.
So, but we don't have the cost, quote for the composite.
We
we don't have money, so.
We-
Just the material,
Yes.
Well, like we could all.
another 10,000 for
We
labor.
could, I mean, or
I would expect, Tasha, that you're going to see about, we experienced about a $5,000 difference in materials. The work between the lumber and the composite is very, very similar. So I wouldn't expect we would see a difference in labor. So I would expect that we would see a $5,000 to $10,000 difference in materials, and that would be it. And I think, I don't even know that it'd be 5,000 because that would be our cost. So,
You gotta move those skills a bit and underpinning,
Yes, his is at 32.5
or underpinning,
and the decks, but that's wood decks.
and that's.
Yes.
If we,
That's who we're trying to get another quote from for the composite.
if you would like, what we can do is go in here with so what we're doing tonight is we're considering approval of the cost. So what we can do is have a maximum amount to spend on this, a recommendation to say go with composite. And then we could pursue that if you'd like.
well, if you go with aluminum, the total cost on that, which does not include underpinning, is $47,000. Which does not include underpinning. So
Correct.
then you've got to come back
And do the,
and
I do not see that underpinning surpassing, I shouldn't say that. So, I do not see that underpinning being of the cost that we have to bring back
it
to the
just
board.
got, so composite wood has just got the material price and the labor price, so I don't really know for sure.
I do have a question that snow had an estimate.
Right here.
And that included, if I remember, did that include the skirting?
Cost to
32.
install underpinning for 6 buildings at new locations, including materials, 1 ramp and landing for 2 buildings together, and there's 4 ramps and landings for remaining 4 buildings, including materials.
So they didn't break those out separately.
So it's 32.5.
So 32.5 for all the ramps and all the underpinning, with it being wood.
Yes. Correct.
So what I'm saying is, and I don't mean to cut you off, what I'm saying is I think when we consider the cost of materials, they would adjust it for the materials
Oh, yeah.
and go with that, because I think the labor is going to be about the same.
It would just be a little bit more for the better materials.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree that it would, if you're just changing out to composite, the labor's not, materials. All that, I was like, wow, that's very what we got. It's not a bad price, but.
I think in order to, if we would decide to go with the composite as opposed to the aluminum, I think if we came in here, what I don't want to do is have to come back to the board with this. So if we came in and said for a not to exceed 45,000, I personally don't think it's going to get close to that. But then I don't want to say 40,000 and it was, $40,025.
Can I ask, this is simply because I haven't, I had no recollection. when that was offered, why did we not accept it, thinking it would be the fall, maybe, or we're just not wanting to tackle it at the moment? I mean, why
We
would
basically, we basically did pull it off because we thought, well, let's see if we can do better than that. And so, I mean, we're always gonna try to do that. And then when we put the pencil to it, because I mean, this all happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, because, you know, based on these prices, that ended up being like it's not a deal. Although it gave us time to think and change materials, which was better done.
That's correct.
Lost some time to think about it, but I was just wondering.
Mr. Stowe's price. 32,500 includes ramps, solid wood. Underpinning.
Oh, no, that is a, and it's just a change in that deposit. You know, like about $2,000.
I think
It's the one we were trying to get the other quote from. Yeah. Yeah. That's what they were working
And I
on.
think what you're asking is just to give a exceed number.
Yes, sir. And that would enable us to go ahead and get that from him. That could literally happen within the next day or so, probably. Otherwise, we're gonna have to come back. If we have to come back and approve this again, we're gonna have to call a special board meeting.
you have to have more than one bid.
We would get more than one bid. Yes, sir.
Do we think this will be completed over the holidays? How soon can they do this?
Then we'll be able to get, some of this done over the holidays.
We have to include to do it, it's not gonna be over the holidays. It's gonna be a lot.
So his quote,
It should be done outside.
I agree.
his quote is 31
32.5.
installed,
Yes, sir.
all of it.
With the underpinning. Yes, sir.
So if we want to go with a composite or aluminum, we might need to, put a 40 maximum on it?
I don't know that they do aluminum.
Yeah, this will just be probably deposit.
Yes, sir.
So then we could just add 5 or whatever, but.
Yeah, if you look at it,
As
just
soon as you
at
buy
the
them,
material
still have 40.
difference in Ronnie's, and he just went and pulled prices and did the material cost, just ballpark, it's gonna be about $5,000 difference, so you're looking at 37.5-ish, based off his initial quote.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that we approve the cost to install underpinning ramps and landings for 6 portable buildings, including materials not to exceed $45,000.
I hope it was 40.
Are we go 50?
No, I said 45.
You're 46 already.
Where are we at 46?
No,
If you go with.
They're saying that we're going 5,000.
I mean, if you go with aluminum.
On that estimate, we're right about additional 5,000.
So we're at 32.5, and then if we added another 5 or so, which is the difference,
That's what composite, right?
That would be 37.
so we shouldn't exceed 45.
So her,
We're probably gonna come in under the 45, but just in case, and we don't have to come back for $25 or $100 or whatever.
I think that's generous.
The 45?
Yeah, I think it's generous to give them the extra 5, because I probably wouldn't have done it, but.
well,
I'll vote for it.
Okay, so do I
I'll
need to say
second
it
it.
again?
I'll second it. I'll second it. Are you did
I
already?
prefer aluminum, let's go aluminum, I can jump up, down on my desk.
But we didn't decide on the material.
Yeah, we did, basically.
Actually, you did.
We want
so we have a motion and a second.
Okay, we have a motion by Tasha, second by Greg. All in favor?
and it's for composite though.
Or composite material, okay. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion passed.
That's why Price added extra prices for the composite. Yeah.
Okay. It is now.
We need to go back to 7 and 8.
All right, Mr. President,
7 and 8.
do we want to let the numbers 7 and 8?
Oh, we're ready to go back to that? Okay.
Are we able, Liz?
Just Amy,
Show it to you, Amy will have to
is she on?
personally return. Amy?
Yes, I'm here.
There she is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, great.
Amy, we, 501.
I'm sorry, say it again?
Amy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, let me give him just a real brief intro, and then you can take it away, okay?
That sounds great.
Okay, so the proactive and targeted approach to addressing social and emotional barriers to learning. This is the PASS test that we gave our kids. We are very interested in how our kids are doing right now. We had actually discussed this prior to this year, but it's very advantageous giving this this test to kids. I say a test; it's more of a short questionnaire to our students to find out how they're doing in social emotional learning. So if we have, if kids have issues that we need to deal with, this is a proactive way of dealing with this. In other words, not waiting for problems to occur necessarily on campus, but finding out before they happen that issues may need to be addressed. So having said that, Amy Murray is one of our high school counselors, and she is overseeing the social emotional learning program for the district, and she administered this survey of students. So Amy, I am going to turn it over to you at this time.
All right. Well, good evening. I think that Ms. Gruce gave you guys packets so you could kind of see how each campus broke down with the data. And then I have a PowerPoint also that I think Ms. Gruce also has. And I worked with the company to have them break it down and kind of easier to just see overall how VISD was doing. And so it's broken down into the first test was like 25 questions, and it was administered to kindergarten through 2nd grade. And grade 1 and 2 looked great. Kindergarten scored, they had a yellow and a red in feelings about school and then preparedness for learning. When I met with the primary campus, we thought that maybe some of the kindergartners didn't understand the questions. So when we give these students this questionnaire again, we're going to work and make sure that the counselor and the teachers are in the computer lab with them, making sure that they understand what they're being asked. And then the second PASS assessment was 50 questions, and it was a little more in depth, and it was given to grades 3 through 12. And again, overall majority green. District is looking good. One of my favorite things about this is that we have data for every student. And so at the high school, some of the data was surprising. One of the students, everything about this student seemed like she was doing great. Excellent grades, excellent attendance, excellent attitude, everything. And then when you looked at her survey results, she's struggling. And so I've been able to pull her in and talk to her, and we've worked on some strategies and kind of got down to why she was feeling, she didn't feel like she was good at school. She didn't have any confidence in herself. And so we've started to work with her and build up that confidence and self-esteem. And I know that the counselors at every campus are working with these individual students, and it's really given us a broad picture on how our kids are doing. Are there any questions, any feedback on this?
So Amy, if I might.
Yeah.
What do you see as, so we have this data. How are we using the data?
We're using the data to really look at each class as a whole. If a class is struggling, say a 2nd grade class is struggling with feeling prepared for learning, or maybe their feelings about school, the counselor and the teacher are able to work together with this program. They gave us over 100 interventions that we can use that fit in with the grade level and with each area that the students were assessed on. So if their students are in one classroom are feeling like maybe they aren't liked at school or they are not feeling comfortable at school, the counselor and the teacher can start giving those interventions to those students and hopefully bring that low area up. It also allows the counselors to see and pull individual students based on their needs. So hopefully before like behavior becomes a problem or they start, their grades start slipping or they're not doing well in school, we can kind of get in there and give them these interventions and meet those needs and pull those areas up.
How often do you do this?
This year we gave it one time. We have some extra assessments left over. And so the thought was in April to give it to some of our lower kids to re-administer it to them to see if there was any change.
So the ones that have lower numbers, do we keep following them through the years to see if it keeps getting better?
Yes, that is our goal, is to at least be able to administer this assessment one time a year. The best would be twice a year, but that it becomes difficult, and with all the testing, it's just something that we would have to kind of discuss each year and think if it's something that we wanted to do. But the goal is to at least once a year in September or October to give each student this assessment.
It sounds like a good survey.
Yeah. I was able to give it to some of the classes at the high school for teachers who were out due to being sick or COVID or something. And it was kind of fun. I went in and I was like, this is like a personality quiz, and the students were excited about it. And I know at least in the classes that I was in, they were taking it seriously. And it wasn't like ooh, this is a test, I don't want to do it.
Ms. Murray, do you think at the end of the school, toward the end of the school year, or possibly even in June, we could come back with some summative data on some of the interventions that we did, and then also how that worked out without obviously being confidential?
Yes, definitely. I know when I met with all the campus leadership, I think it was last week, we talked about how each campus was going to start documenting and working on the interventions. And so by June, we should have solid data along with being able to reassess some of those really low students. And, you know, hopefully with these interventions, those students move up.
Anybody have any more questions for Amy? Okay, thank you, Amy.
Oh, thank you so much. Y'all have a really good evening. I appreciate y'all.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Is Dr. Morgan?
Dr. Morgan, are you ready for item number 8?
Dr. Morgan, are you there?
Yes, I am. Just one moment.
Okay.
So she's going to, Dr. Morgan's going to talk about our Tier 3 students and also some of our intervention strategies and students.
Okay, I apologize for that delay. So I do have a report for you, just a document, not a presentation. And I just wanted to go through some of the information about Tier 3 students. We refer to Tier 3 students a lot, and so I just wanted to make sure that we're all talking about the same thing. So our Tier 3 students are students who are experiencing significant problems in academic, social, or behavioral domains, and we're going to focus on those academic domains for this report. Often they need specific and focused intervention to make gains, and we've talked about before that these students need to make not only the expected year's worth of growth, but they need to accelerate growth because they are often more than a year behind. These are our students who have performed in the bottom 30th percentile on our MAP growth assessment. And what happens, the reason why this whole system started in the first place is this was a process to sort of evaluate if a student needed to be further evaluated by special services. And so when we are working with our tier 3 students, we're always asking those questions. Is there another reason why they maybe are not performing where they should be? And after investigation and after working with them and after trying different things with them, some of those students will be referred to special ed so they can be evaluated in case they do need services. So how we identified the tier 3 students, we started with our MAP growth assessment, and we looked at how students performed on that. We also look at the students and their classroom performance and so their teacher observations. So the teachers are able to give input on how the students are doing in their classes. We are often able to look at their historical academic performance data. And so of course we all know that last year we didn't have STAR data, but we are able to ask the teachers from the prior years how they did and look at any data that we do have on file. And then also their demographic data. And for example, if they are served with by special ed or ESL, something along those lines. So you can see if you have the report on the screen or in front of you, you can see in the chart how many students we are currently serving. And so something else that we all just need to understand is these numbers are fluid. And so these were the current numbers about 2 weeks ago. And so there may be a couple more in some grades. There may be a couple fewer in other grade levels. And so right now, we are serving about 15% of our students in tier 3 intervention. So some of those students are the same students receiving math and reading intervention in a grade level. Some students only receive math, some students only receive reading. For bilingual, for 4th grade, you notice that there are 0 students, and that is because in 4th grade, most of our bilingual students are actually working on English reading, and so there may be a couple of those students in the English reading group receiving intervention, but maybe not in the bilingual reading group receiving intervention. And then we do have, in middle school, we are serving students in reading intervention through our Read 180 program. We do not have a math intervention program, a designated math intervention program. And so if you want to look through the report, so our kindergarten through 1st grade students receive about 25 minutes a day. 2nd through 5th grade students receive about 30 minutes a day, and that's 4 days a week. And all of our interventionists use different programs that are suited for their grade level and their content. In 6th through 8th grade, that intervention is actually one class period, and so it's 45 minutes every day of the week. And the system that we're using is called Read 180 or System 44. It's very similar. The System 44 is for those students who are several grades below where they need to be. And so already we've seen some growth among these students. It's hard to get exact numbers for to make it all look the same because right now our interventionists are all working with a lot of different programs. But we are seeing some growth. Initially, it's going to be slow. It did take a few weeks to get students identified and for services to begin across the board. As you all know, many of our students were online learners, and that did present a problem in getting their initial assessments done. But right now, we have been able to test a good majority of the students. And then when we do our mid-year MAP test in February, we'll have much more accurate data, and we'll have close to 100% of our students tested at that time. And then, so one of the highlights that I do want to talk about very quickly is our middle school Read 180 program. So we began this program last fall, so the school year of 2019-20. And these students were identified as being several grade levels below where they needed to be. And so they were served in their Read 180 class. And as of our October benchmark, so we're talking about about 13 months after they started, the students who began the program with Mrs. Hill, and she is our 6th grade reading teacher. When they began the program with her as 6th graders, these students, when we closed campuses, they stayed engaged during spring closure. and they returned to on-campus instruction in August. And so they were able to go back into that Read 180 classroom. All of those students who met those criteria met or exceeded their expected growth, which is very exciting for us because it tells us that the program works and it is going to help students accelerate their growth. Of course, we've had some hiccups along the way, and a couple of students were not able to stay engaged throughout that whole time. But for the ones who are in it and who have stayed engaged, it is truly working for them. And so we're really excited to see what the results will be at the end of this school year for the students who began it this year. And then you can see also that each of our interventionists has reported some success right so far with the different programs that they're using. So we do have students gaining accuracy and skills. We have students beginning to make gains in the reading program, and then also through the math and the bilingual. I know that was a lot of information. Are there any questions?
Are you seeing any correlation between student growth performance and past survey?
Between the past survey?
Yes, and the student growth performance of it that you've seen.
We have not had a chance to look at that data and compare it, but my guess is that, yes, we will see some correlations there. And so what we'll want to do for sure is look at that data. When we have our mid-year map test, that'll be the best time to look at it because that'll be our most accurate data, and look at how students are doing and then compare that to what the students reported on that past report. So that is going to be very interesting to investigate.
Okay, thank you. May have any more questions, Dr. Moore? Do you have anything else, Dr. Markey?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. 8:09. 8:09, we will go to executive session for 551-072, 551-074, 551-076. We are now in executive session.